And welcome to the podcast show. My name's Dan Latto. I hope you're well today. So in this session, I want to talk about the Legends Academy and actually what that includes. Because as I've gone through life and all this personal development training, the thing that keeps coming back to me time and time and time again is that this up here, the thing between our two ears, the brain, is the thing that is the biggest indicator as to whether you're going to be successful or not. It's where success begins, it's where success ends, it's where your self-talk begins, it's where your self-talk ends, it's where your confidence is, it's where your memories are, your experiences, your values, all of these different things, your skills, your abilities, it's all in here. And if you don't work on that on a constant and daily basis, you don't get to change. You just end up being the same person for the next 30, 40 years. And you're not going to be able to do the things that you want to be able to do, because in order to get the things done that you want to go do, you can't remain the same person. You have to change. You have to adapt. Sometimes it's more information, but often not. It's not more information that you need. It's a change in values. It's a change in memories. It's a change in who you are fundamentally. And we call that your identity. And so we talk about the inner game versus the outer game. So, for example, in the Legends Academy, we have the inner game. It's called Forged in 30, and it's our 30-day education product. But then in addition to that, you've got coaching, which is live group coaching. We do 2 sessions a week. The first session's on a Tuesday, and that usually covers business, marketing, property sourcing, investing, any of those kind of things. A lot of Q&A goes on, and if you've got a problem, then that's where you come, and then we solve it together, you and me and the team and other people on the call as well. And so that's the inner game. In addition to that, there's the outer game, and the outer game is how you present and how you show up. So things like how are you putting yourself out there in terms of marketing? Are you live streaming every day, for example? Like currently we're live streaming every day, and we're seeing the results of that. So powerful, difficult to do, but actually once you get into the swing of it, and once you work with a framework that's included in the Legends Academy, then it just gets so much easier. Life actually gets easier. And then the other side of this, going back to the inner game, is that you're on this journey, and you know what it's like when you're an entrepreneur, a business owner. Boy, it's so lonely. Never anybody else to speak to, and you know, you try and speak to your partner, and they, oh yes dear, they kind of don't understand what you're going through. And then you try and speak to your mates down the pub, and they just don't get it either. You know, my mates used to say to me, well, when I finish at 5, that's it, I can just go off on holiday. And if you're self-employed, you know that you don't finish at 5, first of all. And second of all, when you do go on holiday, you still got work to do, right? We understand that. And we actually don't mind it, in fact, because we're entrepreneurs. This is what we do. You know, if you were going where I was going, you'd put in the work as well. We understand that. Whereas most people kind of don't understand that, you know. But that's the inner game. And the outer game is where you're presenting yourself out there to other people. Not just live streams, but short form videos, for example. Walking on the beach, walking a dog today, did a less than 1 minute video. A guy was, what's it called, where he's on you jump off a hill and you've got a glider thing that you hang on to. I can never remember the name of those. I need to find that out. And I was just walking a dog, creating a little bit of content. And then we uploaded, my daughter was horse riding last night, and then my wife took a murmuration video, which is like lots of birds all going around, flying, put some beautiful music to that. So this is about how we show up and showing the things that we find interesting that other people will also find interesting, and then they get to know who you are, and then eventually they get to know what you do, and then they sign up. Right? So like people got to know, like, and trust you. We use this KLT, know, like, and trust. And we do that by building these videos and putting ourselves out there with images, for example, or long form written content. All of that stuff has to be done. And so the inner game is how you're showing up, and the outer game is let me rephrase that. The inner game is how you show up mentally. The outer game is how you show up and present yourself to the world. 2 very different things. And most people, they just work on the sheer mechanics of, I do this, and then I do that, and then I do the other. The inner game is about you actually working on what's going on in here. So, for example, I fell off my diet the last 2 days because I hurt my back, so I fell off my diet, and I'm like, oh, well, I might as well eat shit, right? You know? So that's what happens. So you do it, I do it, we all do it. So this morning, I wrote back on my 30-day planner. We have our 30-day planners here. Did I work out today? Bad back. The thing that I need to change, stop eating shit. So today, I'm actually going OMAD, and I wrote down my daily meal plan, which is chicken and rice. It might be actually beef and rice, to be honest, with peppers and a nice sauce. But I'm OMAD, which is 1 meal a day. And it's like just getting locked in to be consciously aware of what are the things that I need to do today on a daily basis. And that's why we have a 30-day planner. And then we have an end-of-week review. So Friday's like our Q&A. So on Tuesdays, you've got the business and property and investing and that kind of thing. And then when we get to Friday's more of a mindset day. So how did your week go? What were you successful at? What did you fail at? What are the things that you need to implement next week? And then also by the end of the month, we have an end of month report. And at the same time as doing the end of month report, we also write down what are the 30-day goals that we want to accomplish next month. And so what happens here in that situation is that we get to slow everything down. And in slowing everything down, we get more consciously aware of the things that we should be doing, the things that we should be doing on a daily basis, how we show up in life, what our positive mental attitude should be like. Because often what happens is that people just go through the day and stuff happens, and the way that they perceive the world is based on what happens externally. And we don't want that. We actually want the way that we perceive the world to be based on how we choose to perceive the world. Two very, very different things. One is about how you're reacting to external events, and the other one is how you are deciding to turn up. These external events are going to happen anyway. What the difference is how you turn up to them and how you respond to them. Very, very important. We also talk about why businesses plateau, and we'll cover a little bit in this session. So, for example, if you've done the thing that you've always done for the last 10 years, you're probably still where you are 10 years ago. You might try and work harder, put an extra hour in, but really, is that really going to make a bigger difference? And usually not is the answer. Where you need to make those differences is the inner game. That's why we do the coaching. Sure, it's like, Dan, how do I do a live stream? Well, just do this, do that, add this, create that here. So that's the sheer mechanics of what you should be doing. But more important than, because the question is, Dan, how do I live stream? That's actually not the question. They think it's the question. That's actually not the question. It's like, well, you just get your phone, you press record, and off you go. Like, that's the answer. That's the easy answer. But that actually wasn't the question. Look at me getting all excited. Because the actual question is, I feel fearful about live streaming. How do I get over that? Most coaches will go and look at the sheer mechanics of do this, do that, do this other thing. That's actually not what they're asking. It's the inner game that stops you live streaming. Think about when you last live streamed and think about what stopped you. Think about the time that, the number of times that you thought, right, I'm going to live stream today and then didn't. That's not the outer game. That's not knowing how to get things set up. That's having everything set up but still not doing the work, even though you know it's going to be beneficial. There's something up here going on, and that's the thing that we have to fix, and that's where the inner game and the coaching really takes place. Because most businesses plateau, not because you're out of ideas, not because you don't know what to do. You have all of that. It's not more information that you need. Actually, the problem is that you're not doing the things that you said you were going to do in the first place. And that's what the Legends Academy is about. It's about getting you to do the things that you already know. You don't need this new information. You already know what you should be doing, but you're not doing it because of fear. Fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough, fear of someone saying that you're wrong was a massive fear of mine. Now I just don't give a shit. Oh, you're wrong about that? Great, I'm wrong. Piss off then. Not a problem. But most people don't think that, because most people are like, oh my gosh, that makes a good point. I didn't realise that. Write that down. And in these group coaching sessions, when somebody asks a question, the powerful part of group coaching is that person asked that question and everybody else on the call are going, God, that's a great question. Wish I'd have asked that. And then you get the answer, and then you go off and implement it, and then we come back the following week. Did you implement that? Yeah, what happened? Well, this bit worked really well, and this bit didn't. Okay, tell me about the bit that didn't. And can we double down on the bits that did? And just slowing it all down and getting really conscious about all the things that we know we should be doing so that we actually go out and get those things done. You see, most businesses plateau not because of the information is lacking. There's too much information, too much overwhelm, too many ideas. Businesses plateau because this brain has not fundamentally shifted in the last 12 months, the last 5 years, the last 10 years. Some people are still running business like they used to run the business 10 years ago, and times have moved on. The whole scenario has changed from 10 years ago. I mean, back in 2016, 4 years before COVID has fundamentally shifted a lot of things, and we still haven't recovered from that. Think about that. The UK has not recovered from COVID. I know technically it has, but it hasn't. In you and I, there's still a lot of things lingering. So then let's just cover what goes on inside the Legends Academy. And I always forget what's in here because there's so much. So let me just run through it. So obviously you've got 2 coaching calls. That's a standard. The coaching calls are every week. You can turn up to all of them if you want, or you turn up to one a week. You dip in and dip out, but it's always there. And people are like, Dan, the price is too high. It's £300 a month and it's too high and I can't afford that. And we had a long discussion around pricing, and the reason why it's at that price is because if it was 50 quid a month, people just do not take the action. They don't show up for a start. And, like 95% of success is showing up, right? And if you show up to the coaching calls, I guarantee that you're going to start getting results, because you can't show up to all 8 coaching calls every single month and actually not end up implementing things, because the information that's contained within those coaching calls is so powerful. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I just have to implement what I've learned. Now, you're not going to implement all of it because not everything will apply to you, but a lot of it will. So you have the weekly coaching calls, 2 a week, and you get those every month. And then training courses. I have to look at my screen here because I always forget. So you've got rapid course creation. Like, everybody should have a course. We made 300 quid last weekend by training courses we created a couple of years ago. Amazing. Property sourcing system. So these are all about making money online. We have more to come in that are just being designed and planned with the team right now. Personal development, Friday night review, time management system, so powerful. We had a guy that came over to the villa. We did one-on-ones for a couple of grand quite a few years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago, before COVID, in fact, 6 years ago. And he just implemented that, and boy, game-changing. Friday night review, that's in there. The Legends coaching goes without saying because we just talked about that. The Forged in 30 is about you having a transformational 30 days so that when you leave that training, you are not the same person. You see the world through fresh eyes and a different way of thinking, so that you're not always seeing the world like you did 10 years ago, because the world has adapted and you have to adapt as well. And in fact, I would go as far to say you should be adapting every 30 days. You should not be the same person at the end of March as you are at the end of April, because the world has changed and you've got to stay up to date with that, and you have to adapt with that, and you have to be more pliable and flexible in the way that you think. And then finally, on business development and marketing, we've got the content creation machine, like a whole bunch of videos in there that's going to show you how to really ramp up the amount of content that you're putting out there. Really, really powerful. And then the one offer away is about creating a really good offer so that you're going to get as many people coming in as possible. And we've got more in the pipeline. For example, we did a video, we had 1.5 million views. We thought that was pretty good. And so we did another video and we got 1 million views on that video. And we're like, I think we're onto something here. And so we started creating these additional videos that are getting 10, 20, 30, 40,000 views, which is amazing, by the way, because it's just me, a bloke from up north, getting millions of views. It took us 19 years to get the first 1 million views. We've just gone over 4 million views in the last 90 days. That's just on YouTube, by the way. That's not including everything else. That's literally just on YouTube. I was walking a dog today and I was like, gosh, what's going to happen when we get over 10 million views? Like, that's pretty powerful. 100 million views. Imagine having 100 million views. That's really powerful stuff. So we've got some training around how to do that, and that's just been designed as well at the moment. But we cover all sorts of different aspects. So clarity, we have a section on weight loss and physical discipline, because that's really important to me and it should be important to you. Energy, recovery and performance, not just at work, not just at home, but in a sport of some kind, which then it slides over into work and into home. Offers, income, business growth, marketing visibility, focus, discipline and consistency. Imagine if you had all these every single day and you were implementing this, Reset, reviewing what you've done at the week and then doubling down for the next week. How to become a beast, which is about you raising your physical standards. Like, I can do stuff now at 53 that I've never been able to do. Handstand push-ups, climbing a rope without using my legs, for example, just purely my arms. Like, this stuff's really impressive. That's impressive if you're 30. For guys I'm up against at CrossFit, they can't do that. Here I am, granddad, 53, kicking their butt. It's powerful stuff. Scaling your income and your cash flow, working on your identity and that self-belief, which is where everything begins and ends, leadership and personal authority, and then locking it all in with your routines and your habits on a daily basis. Plus, of course, those life coaching calls. Like, if you want to go and have a look at this, you should sign up. You don't have to sign up for 12 months. Sign up for a month, see how it goes. Pay $297, come and join us for a month. If you don't like it, you don't have to continue. But I guarantee that if you come on board and you implement the stuff that we teach you and that you get through the coaching calls, this is going to be life-changing for you. You will not want to quit because you're going to get the results. Anyway, go take a look. It's all on there. And if you've got any questions, come and hit me up and we'll speak to you soon. Have a